We have been witnessing some of the biggest moves happening around Ripple and XRP over the last couple weeks, and a lot of you have questions. And the big question that I've been seeing quite often is all these big updates, why haven't we witnessed any strong price action moves? And, this is a question that I get quite often on this channel. And you know what's crazy about it? I also was getting this question quite often leading into November. Okay, and we all know what happened in November. Now I'm going to talk about this, but first, welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Nick. For those that are new to the channel, hopefully by the end of this video, you do become a subscriber. So like I said, we have been witnessing some pretty big moves. Even just recently, we saw a big move, and it was Justin. Hashkey Capital announces launch of Asia's first XRP Tracker Fund, with Ripple as an early investor. Now, this is from Hashkey Capital, and a lot of people are questioning me on this as well, saying like, nobody knows who Hashkey actually is, like who is Hashkey? Well, first and foremost, let's actually talk about why this is significant. So we have here Asia's first XRP Tracker Fund launched in Hong Kong. Hashkey Capital, with Ripple as an early investor, has launched Asia's first XRP Tracker Fund in Hong Kong. This fund enables institutional investors to gain exposure to XRP without the need for direct ownership, offering features like monthly redemptions and aiming to expand the accessibility of cryptocurrencies in Asia. Now, we also got an update from Hashkey Capital themselves, which says Hashkey Capital is launching Asia's first XRP Tracker Fund with Ripple as an early investor. This marks a major step in expanding institutional access to XRP, the third largest token by market cap. We have, of course, the introduction designed to track XRP's performance. The fund provides professional investors with regulated institutional grade exposure without the complexities of direct ownership, custody, or trading. Now, they do question why XRP. XRP is at the forefront of cross-border payments, enabling faster, cheaper, and more efficient transactions than traditional systems like SWIFT, as well as tokenization of RWAs on its native blockchain, the XRP Ledger. It's already used by financial institutions and enterprises worldwide. A first in Asia, but not the last. The XRP Tracker Fund in Hashkey Capital's third tracker fund, following Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs. With regulatory approval, it could evolve into an ETF in the next 1 to 2 years. I think it happens sooner. Further broadening institutional access. A strategic partnership with Ripple. Beyond the fund, Hashkey Capital and Ripple are exploring new investment products, cross-border DeFi solutions, and tokenization, including the possibility of launching a money market fund on the XRP Ledger. This could be very exciting. Now, we also have Ripple seeding the initial investment with Ripple as an anchor investor. This fund marks a deepening collaboration between two leaders in the blockchain space. The goal, bringing more institutional capital into regulated XRP products and the broader digital asset ecosystem. Now, like I said, this is a pretty big move, but who is Hashkey? Well, first off, Hashkey Capital is part of Hashkey Group. This is a very large ecosystem. All right, this is their entire ecosystem that they do have. They have Hashkey Global, which is a licensed virtual asset global exchange. The exchange itself in terms of Hashkey Exchange. And then you also have Hashkey Capital. And then Hashkey Brokerage, Cloud, Tokenization, OTC, Tokyo Hash, Chain, and then also AI. Now, they are compliant with regulations, as you guys can see here. They have all their licenses labeled. And also, they have some pretty large partnerships already in place. I do like the fact that they have Archax tapped in, because we already know that they're working with Ripple on tokenizing. I think initially it was $100 million, I think, on the XRP Ledger initially. But I'm sure that that's going to expand rapidly over time. But again, like I said, this is not some small time name. Like a lot of people were questioning, like, oh, is Hashkey a big name? Yeah, they're a giant name, especially overseas. And also, if you want to learn a little bit more about them, you guys can learn more about who they are, how big they actually are. They've been around from like 2018, and they're tapped in on a lot of great fronts. And I do think that they're going to be a very, very big name around XRP. Why do I say that? Well, it's not just this big, tracker fund or the initiatives that they want to, really kind of target with Ripple. Talking about the money market fund, DeFi solutions, things like that. It's also the announcement that we saw back in April of 2024. That's right, over a year ago now, we also saw another big update with Hashkey. Now, this was with DX, And this was Ripple avoiding US growth with new Hashkey DX partnership in Japan. Now, the way that they worded this, it could have been worded a lot better, but the actual official announcement was a lot better in terms of the wording. But we have here key takeaways. Ripple partners with SBI Group and Hashkey DX to create its own XRP Ledger blockchain solution, starting with supply chain finance. SBI is the first Japanese corporation to use XRP Ledger for its supply chain. Ripple XVP predicts a $16 trillion tokenized market. And this strategic decision by Ripple indicates a possible shift in focus from prioritizing expansion within the US. So yeah, this was a very, very big update, and this was all around tapping into the XRP Ledger within, the supply chain. And here we actually have the official announcement. So the XRP Ledger was the ideal blockchain infrastructure for us to build our proven supply chain finance solution. With its proven enterprise track record and unmatched performance metrics, including rapid settlement speeds, low cost, and scalability, we are confident in our ability to drive meaningful transformation and introduce innovative cutting-edge solutions for businesses in Japan. So again, this was a great update that we saw, and they also give us a little bit of a breakdown behind Hashkey Group. So number one, they have been founded from 2018. This is saying 2019, but we know that they've been around from 2018. They have over 4,000 plus registered entities, including 23 banks and 4,300 plus suppliers. They also, in terms of trade volume, facilitated by the company is more than $7 billion. Also, its blockchain-based products have facilitated transactions totaling nearly $3 billion within China as well. So, again, Hashkey is a giant. They're a big name. I think everyone should focus on them, and I think that this recent move is huge. Now, like I said, this is one of just many moves that Ripple has made. And I did quote this post, and I even said that every single day we are seeing huge moves made around XRP, and soon the price action will reflect all of them. Everyone is always asking, why are we pumping? When we start to see the price action moves. I watched this happen back in November too, and my answer is always simple. Every single announcement and all the positive news is just pressure building and building. Eventually, you see an eruption happen, and that's exactly what's coming soon for XRP. I hope you all have been paying attention because, again, over time, this is exactly what I've witnessed around this space every single time. Back in 2021, we witnessed a ton of altcoins go crazy. Now, don't get me wrong. Yeah, it was because of alt season. But on top of that, the stronger the moves, the stronger the announcements that we saw behind them. For an example, XRP back in 2017, 2018. Everyone still talks about that all-time high because of how massive it was. But during that time, we also witnessed Ripple making move after move after move, announcement after announcement after announcement, and that all reflected the price of XRP. Today, it's no different, right? Like, we continue to see a lot of projects making a ton of, moves. And even if we go back to November, the beginning of November into like the beginning of December and even January, a lot of these altcoins like HBAR, for an example, I bring up HBAR quite a bit on this channel as well. HBAR did over like an 800% move from the lows of November to the highs that it did hit. Now, an 800% move in that short amount of time, it's like less than 80 days. That's a big move. But it happened because of the substantial amounts of, announcements that we were witnessing. It's no different now, right? Like over the last couple of weeks, what have we been witnessing? Number one, we saw a big update from Ripple acquiring, Hidden Road. And you might say, well, this doesn't really matter. It does, right? Because we heard from Brad Garlinghouse that this is huge for XRP. This was one of many announcements just happening in April, okay? On top of that, on April 17th, we saw Hidden Road receive a license to operate as a broker-dealer. Again, another big move. But on top of that, we also saw, the 2x long daily XRP ETF launch. Now, this was with Tucrium, and we know that this ETF was their most successful launch ever. And I'll get to that here in a second. But what's crazier about all of this is look at all of the ETF filings that we have for XRP. This is why I state that when we start to see the big news hit the market, the price will already be pumping. And everyone will be wondering, why? Why is XRP moving? It's the same question that I see in the comments every single time. It's either that or is now too late to buy. I watched XRP go from sub 50 cents to $3.40. This happened in 80 days. And the question that I saw the most in my comments was, is now the right time to buy? Currently, right now, everyone is complaining. Everyone is negative. Everyone is talking about how XRP is stuck at $2. It's the same complaints that I heard back when XRP was at 40 cents, 30 cents, 50 cents, 60 cents, 70 cents. I question everyone now. Are we going to just continue to repeat the same mistakes that we've made time after time after time? Or are we going to actually focus on what's going on right now? Because there's a completely different market developing around XRP right now. And that's the institutional side. Every single move made in the last couple weeks have been focused on institutionalization of the XRP ledger. And even when it comes to the ETFs, right? You got to remember that the ETFs are big for institutional players. Yeah, it allows for more retail, exposure, right? Like retail has more exposure to XRP. But the main thing here is the institutions behind these ETFs. Like even if we look at some of these ETF filings for XRP, right? We look at the names. Bitwise, Canary, 21 Shares, Wisdom Tree. Like these are not, retail companies. These are big institutionalization or institutional companies that are, pushing institutionalization of the XRP ledger and XRP. They want it. They actually want this to happen because guess what? They make a lot of money off of it because of their ETFs being successful. But on top of that, right, all of these announcements, like even the Tracker Fund, this enables more institutional investors to gain exposure to XRP. Like these are all gates opening to XRP from the institutional side. And even Ripple, over the last 12, 24 months, all they have been talking about is institutional DeFi on the XRP ledger. Institutions embracing the XRP ledger. Even the announcement with Hidden Road, this is all about, traditional players and, major institutional players and enterprises all tapping into the XRP ledger. You got to focus on the big picture here. And also when it comes to the ETFs, right? We saw a big update from Uphold talking about the XRP report for the week. Momentum builds on XRP's ETFs. XRP emerges as a frontrunner for US spot ETF approval with asset managers like Franklin Templeton entering the ring. According to Keiko, XRP and Solana are leading the ETF conversation due to deep market liquidity, but XRP is pulling ahead, doubling Cardano's ADA in 1% market depth and outpacing Solana since late 2024. Since the 2021 SEC lawsuit, XRP's US market share has climbed to new highs, while Solana's has slipped to 16% from a 25 to 30% peak in 2022. The debut of the 2x leveraged XRP ETF by Ethereum racked up $5 million in volume on day one, becoming the provider's most successful launch. So when we think about what's going on here, right, we are going to start to see some pretty substantial updates happening around the ETF side for XRP. That's a catalyst, right? These are all catalysts. But the thing is that everyone's looking for immediate price action when these things get announced. This is all pressure. I've stated it many times when it comes to Hedera, XDC, or any crypto project. All of the news announcements that go unnoticed, or they're not moving the price, or maybe they move the price a little bit, all at once, these announcements matter. November, XRP went crazy. Now you might say, all right, well, it was because of the election and it was because of what we were seeing from Trump and, the markets opening. Yeah, sure. We can look at that. But we could also look at all of the announcements leading up to November because it's all about hindsight. Like we witnessed so many big tokenization moves happening around the XRP ledger. We talk about Artix, we talk about the Axelar integration. We talk about the, I'm blanking on the name, but it was like Open Open Ledge or something like that. Like all of these big tokenization and RWA moves that were happening during 2024 leading into November, and then also the big integrations and the EVM side chains and all of the, moves happening around the actual ledger itself to like embrace smart contracts natively. Like all of those moves went unnoticed because of the negative price action up until November. Then everyone started to shine a light on all of the big moves and why, XRP is going to become a dominant player in this space. It's the same thing happening now. We see update after update after update, positive news, and the price is still pretty stagnant. When we start to wake up, everyone will be asking the same question. Why are we pumping? So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, to notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord on the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.